to the coast. I got another load and I was on my way again, back to where the Murray River flows. I like to hear that rhythm as the motor purrs along, and the big wheels keep a rolling clear and free. I'd rather drive a truck than be a millionaire. It's the only life for me. 'Cause my grandpa drove a mule train and my pa river boats, and just like them I'm gonna see lots of land. Yeah, my grandpa drove a mule train and my pa river boat. I'm just like them, I'm a motivating man. I met a pretty girl while down in Wagga. I thought that we would marry up, but I lost my nerve when we got to the church, and I climbed back aboard that big old truck. I got to thinking things over. Married life is not for me, I'm sure. I don't want no woman to tell me that I can't drive my truck anymore. 'Cause my grandpa drove a mule train and my pa river boat, and just like them I'm gonna see lots of land. Yeah, my grandpa drove a mule train and my pa river boat. I'm just like them, I'm a motivating man. I'm just like them, I'm a motivating man. Motivating man. Pittsburgh, rolling down that eastern seaboard. I got my diesel wound up and she's running like never before. There's a speed zone ahead, well alright, I can dodge all the cops in sight. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. I got a 10 forward gears and a Georgia overdrive. I'm taking little white pills and my eyes are open wide. I just passed a Jimmy in white, I've been passing everything in sight. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. Well, it seems like a month since I kissed my baby goodbye. I can have a lot of women, but I'm not that kind of a guy. I can find one to hold me tight, but I could never make believe it's alright. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. Well, the ICC is checking on down the line. I'm a little overweight and my logboat's way behind, but nothing bothers me tonight. I can dodge all the scales alright. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. My rig's a little low, but that don't mean she's slow. She got a flame from his deck and that smoke's blowing black as coal. Well, my hometowns are coming in sight. If you think I'm happy, you're right. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. All you big and burly men who roll those trucks along, better listen, you'll be thankful when you hear my song. You really got it made if you're all in goods, any place on earth but those Haynesville woods. It's a stretch of road up north ever seen a smile. If they buried all the truckers that got lost in them woods, there'd be a tombstone every mile. When you're loaded with potatoes and your head is down, you've gotta drive the woods to get to Boston town. When it's winter up in Maine, you better check it over twice, 'cause that Haynesville road's just a ribbon of ice. It's a stretch of road up north of Maine that's never, ever, ever seen a smile. If they buried all the truckers that got lost in them woods, there'd be a tombstone every mile. Talking to a trucker that's been hauling goods down a stretch of road in name they call the Haynesville Woods, he'll tell you that dying and going down below won't be half as bad as driving on that ice and snow. It's a stretch of road up north of Maine that's never, ever, ever seen a smile. If they buried old truckers that got lost in them woods, there'd be a tombstone every mile. There'd be a tombstone every mile. Tricky Truckie, my, that man was lucky. He'd drive up to a transport man and smile and let him by while those other trucks were waiting. For Sam, no hesitating, he'd grab a gear and move on with a twinkle in his eye. And then he'd look back at those drivers who were waiting to be cleared by those terrifying transport men that every truckie feared. And he'd see the same old faces that he'd see every day, just staring at him blankly as he drove his rig away. There'd be Maury from Maine, Nicholas, Tom from TNT, Tiny Tim from Oberon, a hotfoot man was he, Wally Weston Transport and George from DNR, all waiting for the transport man to step out of his car. And meantime, Sam the Tricky Truckie just kept on being lucky. He'd drive right past the transport men who didn't even glance. With that transport check behind, Sam would let that rig unwind and think about the other men who had to take their chance. There was Albert from Aboons, Blinky Bill from Brambles, Holloman a mile away, all caught up in that shambles. Christie's, Hood and Stevens and Ted from TOP, all caught up by those transport men while Sam was rolling free. Then one day that Tricky Truckie, he wasn't quite as lucky. He bumped into a transport man he hadn't seen before. So Samuel thought he'd try him, and he promptly tried to buy him. But the transport man said, "Samuel, son, that's against the law." So they put him in a prison for bribery and graft, along with 18 transport men that Sam sent down the shaft. Now he looks out from his tiny cell and sees the trucks go by, and thinks about his trucking days with a teardrop in his eye. There goes Carl from Cooper's Carrying, and Jock from Jackson Spring, and Frank the Foot from Fleetways. Man, he really pushed that thing. There was Donahoe and Cuba Poe and Barlows and FL. And Alfie on from Old Trans, old Sam remembers well. So watch that Tricky Truckie that seems to drive on through, and never trust the transport men. They'll throw the book at you. They'll throw the book at you.
I was out on the West Coast, trying to make a buck. Things didn't work out and I was down on my luck. I got tired of roaming and bumming around, so I started thumbing back east towards my hometown. Made a lot of miles first 2 days, and I figured I'd be home in a week if my luck held out this way. But the third night I got stranded way out of town at a cold, lonely crossroads. The rain was pouring down. I was hungry and freezing, done caught a chill, and the lights of a big semi topped the hill. Lord, I was sure glad to hear them air brakes come on, and I climbed in that cab where I knew it'd be warm. At the wheel sat a big man. He weighed about 210, and he stuck out his hand and he said with a grin, "Big Joe's the name." And I told him mine, and he said the name of my rig is the Phantom 309. I asked him why he called his rig such a name, and he said, "Son, this old Mack can put 'em all to shame. Ain't a driver or a rig running any line that's seen nothing but taillights from the Phantom 309. Well, we rode and talked the better part of the night when the lights of a truck stop came inside, and he said, "I'm sorry, son, this is as far as you go, because I got to make a turn just on up the road." Well, he tossed me a dime as he pulled her into low and said, "Have yourself a hot cup on Big Old Joe." And then Joe and his rig roared out into the night, and nothing fled, he was out of sight. Well, I went inside and ordered me a cup, and I told the waiter that Big Joe was setting me up. Well, you could have heard a pin drop. Got deathly quiet, and the waiter's face turned kind of white. "Well, did I say something wrong?" I said with a halfway grin. He said, "No, this happens every now and then. Every driver in here knows Big Joe. But son, let me tell you what happened about 10 years ago. At the crossroads tonight where you flagged him down, there was a busload of kids coming home from town, and they were right in the middle when Big Joe topped the hill. Could have been slaughtered, but he turned his wheels. Well, Joe lost control, went into a skid, and he gave his life to save that bunch of kids. And there at the crossroads was the end of the line for Big Joe and the Phantom 309. But every now and then, some hiker will come by, and like you, Big Joe, give him a ride. Here, have another cup, and forget about that dime. You can keep that as a souvenir from Big Joe and the Phantom 309.
Busted flat in Baton Rouge and heading for the trains. Feeling nearly faded as my jeans. Bobby thumbed a diesel down just before it rained. Took us all the way to New Orleans. I took my harpoon out of my dirty red bandana and was blowing sad while Bobby sang the blues. With them windshield wipers slapping time and Bobby clapping hands, we finally sang up every song that truckin' knew. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Nothing ain't worth nothing, but it's free. Feeling good was easy, Lord, when Bobby sang the blues. Feeling good was good enough for me. Good enough for me and Bobby McGee. From the coal mines of Kentucky to the California sun, Bobby shared the secrets of my soul, standing right beside me, Lord, through everything I'd done. And every night she kept me from the cold. Then somewhere near Salinas, Lord, I let her slip away, looking for the home I hoped she'd find. I'd trade all of my tomorrows for a single yesterday, holding Bobby's body next to mine. Freedom, just another word for nothing left to lose. Nothing left is all she left for me. Feeling good was easy, Lord, when Bobby sang the blues. Bobby, that was good enough for me. Good enough for me and Bobby McGee. I can see your face upon the windshield as I'm rolling through the night. You're sitting by a fire with a fuzzy blanket wrapped around you tight. This is just a short run, and I'll be home in just a week or two. But I can see you in the windshield, reminds me that you love me, and soon I'll be coming home to you. I saw you in Chicago in a truck stop on a cold and rainy night. And when that waiter smiled at me, honey, you looked really out of sight. As I rolled it to Toledo, I thought I'd stop and sleep a wink with you. But I can see you in the windshield, reminds me that you love me, and soon I'll be coming home to you. I thought I saw you walking down a busy avenue in Philly town. And the way that you were walking, I guess you knew I let the gear way down. I know I'm only dreaming, but she sure did look an awful lot like you. I can see in the windshield, reminds me that you love me, and soon I'll be coming home to you. Well, today I make my turnaround, soon I'll be headed north to you. The weather's getting awful bad, but I know that I can pull her through. I recall that fuzzy blanket, and I know that there is room for two. I can see in the windshield, cool line of fire, and I'm coming home to give some love to you. I can see in the windshield, sitting by the fire, and I'm coming home to give some love to you. Each morning, and then he would be on his way with a little pleasure along Highway 80. It took him 9 days to cross the USA. Now sometimes he was a little confused, walking around like he was in a fog. He couldn't remember all their names, and so he wrote them all down in his log. He was a truck driving man. This cat, he had 9 wives, a wife in every state from Carolina to California, and he took all the women for a ride. Then one day it had to happen. He ran off a mountainside. They looked at his log and they found 9 women had to be notified. The women, they came with all their children. Each one looked and said, "That's my pa." The women, they finally agreed that they were just widows in law. Now that the funeral is over, his belongings were divided up. You ought to have seen those little women cutting out that old diesel truck. He was a truck driving man. This cat, he had 9 wives, a wife in every state from Carolina to California, and he took all the women for a ride. He was a truck driving man. This cat, he had 9 wives, a wife in every state from Carolina to California, and he took all the women for a ride. He was a truck driving man. This cat, he had 9 wives, a wife in every state from Carolina to California, and he took all the women for a ride. He was a truck driving man. This cat, he had 9 wives, a wife in every state from Carolina to California, and he took all the women for a ride. I was sitting in the terminal waiting for my load when a greenhorn driver came in off the road. I heard him tell that foreman, "Get my little pink slip. This run is too tough and I'm gonna quit." Now the foreman that day happened to be old Joe. Man, he was old in time. He said, "Son, how long you been driving this rig?" You know, I drove all shapes, forms, fashions, and times, and he all worried about this one little trick.
Well, I drove 1,000,000 miles and then some, and he looked that greenhorn right in the eye, and he said, boy, there ain't no easy run. I drove for Jensen, Carson, Aiken, and Tip-Top, Auto whole time, Alpine, Freight-Line, Bowden, Barlow, Mile Away and Dwarf, Oberon, Freighters, all Trans and J.G. Mantle, Lancet, Benz, Australian Cranes and Bow, Kane and Shelton, Kangaroo, Brooks and Cubico, Alliance Transport, Jackson Spring, Laidley, TNT, Co-op Haulage Transport, McFarland's and LOD, Quick Freight, Road Air, got all that driving done. And I tell you, boy, there ain't no easy run. He said, you got a gal in Melbourne, they'll send you to the center to roast. You got a gal in Alice Springs, they'll send you out on the coast. I know what your problem is. You got women trouble, son. And I tell you, boy, there ain't no easy run. I drove for Pettit, Sevitt, carrying Seaton's Transport, Slack, Nara General Agents, Mitchell Brothers Black, John A. Carson Carriers, Commonwealth AAA, Taylor Dalton Freight Lines, Western Haulage Translink, and Shoreway, Lynn Fox, Triton Transport Brooks, Maine Nicholas, Clifford Holdings, BMC and Cooks, Australian Blue Metal, Brambles TOP, Bart Lanes Australia-wide, Amaruso CIG, Collins, Lopez, got all that driving done. And I tell you, boy, there ain't no easy run. I drove for Coca-Cola, Edgels, Hunter Douglas Ford, Peter Warren, Nestle Bray, Mally's and Seaboard, to his brewery Amos, British Metal Beach, BB Ready Mix, Lincoln and Long Reach, Dairy Farmers, Broken Hill, Top Dog, Kaiser, Leonora, Leyland, Myers, Melvin, JP, Fraser, Pete Freen, Pioneer, Wills and CSR, Clutha, Colitex, Samuel Taylor and Gold Star, Qantas, Carlton, got all that driving done. And I tell you, boy, there ain't no easy run. I've had hills and chills, written wills on top of hills, Jack Daniels, whiskey stills, Jumbo Jills, paid bills, speed kills, rod wheels, taking pills, and window sills, had my fills of Jacks and Jills, riding quills, robbed hills, internal ills. Big Mack was the driver of a semi-rig from Denver to the coast of Maine. And every truck driver and transport man, well, they all knew Big Mack's name. He stepped into a diner, plied the scales where he stopped to weigh. Took one look at the waitress there, and we all heard him say, pour me a piece of coffee, pass me a cup of bread. You're the sweetest thing that I've ever seen, and there's a ringing in my head. Make my eggs a medium rare, over you do with my steak. Where you from in Texas, gal, if it takes every cent I make. Staring at Big Mack, kind of in a state of shock. She told him what she said, his orange juice down, be careful now, it's kind of hot. I've already buttered your coffee, and toast is in your cup, and your French fried soup and scrambled prunes will soon be coming up. She took off her apron, grabbed the coat down off the rack, took Big Mac's arm and told the boss, I'm a-quitting and I won't be back. She climbed up in that diesel cab, old pipes were spouting smoke. Somebody said Big Mac just fell this time, it ain't no joke. Pour me a piece of coffee, pass me a cup of bread. You're the prettiest thing I've ever seen, and there's a ringing in my head. Make my eggs a medium rare, home greasy with my steak. I'm gonna buy you a farm in Texas, gal, if it takes every cent I make.
see he was gonna try and clear the road for me. I read a sign, trucks 20 miles an hour. I watched the hand go round and hit the peg. That transport car was burning up the highway, and I was right there on his license tag. Well, I started once to ditch, but then I lost my nerve. I sideswiped a rabbit as I straightened up the curve. I opened up my eyes and I was back on level ground, but it took 5 more miles to shut it down. That transport man walked up and put his hand out, and I reached out and shook it like a man. When he shook me loose, said, "Let me see your license." Yeah, and don't get wise with me, I'll run you in. Now, where's your registration? Who owns that machine? He wrote me up a ticket longer than a witch's dream. There's a lot of things in this old world that I don't understand, and one of them's a doggone transport man. Yeah, one of them's a doggone transport man. Now you know some fellas, they want fame and fortune. Yeah, and other fellas, they just want to swing. But all I wanted all my life was TV set in a truck and a wife and a front row seat to hear old Johnny sing. Yeah, the TV and the truck I got on credit, and I got that girl with a little old woman's ring. And life was warm and life was sweet, but still it was kind of incomplete without a front row seat to hear old Johnny sing. Hey, John, you walk the line. You need it one more time. So one day I thought, hey, I'm gonna do it. That's what I said. So I mortgaged a farm and I pawned a wedding ring, and I sold the gold tooth out of my mouth. Then I jumped the truck and I headed south for a front row seat to hear old Johnny sing. I hit Nashville cold and wet and hungry. I said, I'm here, bring him on, let him do his thing. When they told me down at the old Pit River, I had to go all the way to Hendersonville for a front row seat to hear old Johnny sing. I found his house, knocked on the door, and it was open by a brown-haired girl and a baby with a teething ring. I said, I've seen you somewhere before, but don't stand there and block the door. I want a front row seat to hear old Johnny sing. Hey, John, you walk the line. Let me hear you one more time. He said I'd have to go down to the Opry, and the fellow there said I'd have to wait till spring. That's what he said. He said we'd been sold out for months and months, and this poor insane fellow wants a front row seat to hear old Johnny sing. Well, he said a couple more things and I started crying, and then he laughed at me, and that was when I started to swing. Well, I bust through the doors in a roaring rage, crawled over the crowd till I reached the stage for a front row seat to hear old Johnny sing. Hey, John, you walk the line. Let me hear you one more time. That ring of fire. Then some crazy guard started shooting. I shot back, and next thing I knew I was winged on the floor, when a guy in a voice kind of deep and low said,
Boy, that's a mighty long way to go for a front row seat to hear anybody sing.